Hey, it's Mike over at fishyourassoff.com, and today what we're talking about is catching speckled trout with lures. Now, speckled trout are basically a fish that you're going to have to usually, it's hard to put this in perspective, but you got to cover the whole water column, I guess is what I'm saying. So they can be anywhere from right on top of the water column all the way down to the bottom based on temperatures and times of year and where the food is and all things like that. You know, where if you're fishing for a flounder, they're never in the top part of the water column. They're never in the mid part of the water column. They're always at the bottom. So if you're going to go out there and try to catch some speckled trout with some lures, you're going to need to have a tackle box with everything covered. So you're going to need some top water stuff, you're going to need some mid water stuff, and you're going to need stuff that you can fish on the bottom too. I guess is what my point is. So let me just go ahead and cover that. All right. So if you're fishing on the top part of the water column, okay, they are fish eaters, shrimp eaters. They'll even eat crabs and things like that. But if you're fishing in top water for them, it is real hard. Those big ones too. It's real hard to beat something with this shape. This is a Zara Super Spook, and this one is bone colored. You know, it's basically a finger mullet. If you look at it, it's a cigar with some hooks on it. So all you got to do is find something that looks like a cigar with some hooks on it, and you can catch yourself a bunch of speckled trout with them. This is a Rapala version. It's just a smaller one. I guess it's supposed to look like a little redfish or something. Got that spot there. And here's one that looks like a speckled trout because they're cannibalistic. That's another Rapala, but look at them, they're all the same shape. They're basically a cigar of different sizes and shapes. I mean, not shapes, same shape, different sizes and colors. And all they do is they're just going to mimic a little finger mullet, okay? And some of them look more like a menhaden. This is called a badonkadonk, and Bomber makes this one. So it's just got a different profile, but it's, you know, just still a smaller shape, right? Mirror Lure has one called a suspending mullet right there. That's a good one. So anyways, all of those lures right there are topwater lures that you can catch trout with. And I like to walk the dog. And a walk the dog pattern means your topwater lure is just going like this. And you just cast out and it's like this. You know, you get a rhythm. It's hard to do. But once you learn it, all you're doing is getting your bait to go like that. You can do it up or you can do it down the same way, your rod tip down. And that thing just zigzags across. Now, another excellent way to catch trout in the upper part of the water column is to just add a popping cork or rattle cork to your presentation. Okay, so you would tie this and then maybe have 18 or 24 inches and then go to whatever lure you're using. And I just want to give you the undisputed champion, period, end of sentence, for catching trout underneath a bobber like this. It is a gulp swimming mullet or a gulp shrimp. Okay, so just get this. This will outfish just about everything else. This is the swimming mullet. It's white. You can get a more natural looking one, and you can get like a root beer colored one for when the water's real dirty. That's the one that works. This or the shrimp version of this, the 3-inch shrimp, are the best when it comes to catching these trout using this scenario. Or just mixing it up, you know, just having the adding a jig head. That's an 1/8 ounce jig head to it. Just having an 1/8 ounce jig head, and say you're fishing the grass flats. You don't want it to go in the grass, but you kind of want to jig it above the grass. So you're casting out and you're just just keeping it above the grass. And I don't know what it is about trout, but they almost always hit it as it falls. So when it goes up, they ignore it, but as soon as it falls towards them, they hit it a lot of times. It's weird. I don't know why. But that's how you do that. So you're covering the middle and upper part of the water column like that. Now, if you can't get your hand on any gulps, get your hands on some of these. Now, this is the DOA Cal 3-inch shad with a paddle tail. I usually start with a white or a glow, and if that's not working, I'll switch to something more natural. And if the water's real dirty, I'll switch to some sort of dark root beer color like this. So I usually only use about 3 colors for all of these. But number 1 would be those Berkeley gulps. Number 2 is your DOA Cal right here, this swimming shad. Now, let's say that they are feeding on a little bit bigger fish. So you've been using those smaller ones, you're not getting hits, and then you notice that there's a bunch of larger fish in the area. Well, these zooms are another great lure that you might want to step up to. Dark ones like this or a light one, these are 4-inch jerk baits basically. So for you bass fishermen out there, you know what jerk baits are all about. You cast them out, twit, twit, and they just go in the water column all over the place like a struggling fish. Those are the 4-inch versions of them. Now, I just got these yesterday. I got to test them out. DOA just came out with a 5.5-inch jerk bait. So these are the colors right here, and that's so when they're feeding on finger mullet, and there's a bunch of finger mullet around right now. That's why I wanted to step up my my bait size. Use something like this. Try a dark one, try a light one, and you just couple that with a what are these? These are 4-aught. Weedless. You rig them up weedless, or a 5-aught with these. And I haven't caught anything with them yet. I literally just tried them because I just noticed that they were 5.5 instead of 4 inches like normal. But I'll definitely let you know. I'll keep you informed. Another great lure for speckled trout. Fake shrimp. DOA makes a real good one. That's a 3-inch fake shrimp. Charlie's is another lure brand. Makes a great fake shrimp. Fake shrimp just work great. This will catch redfish, this will catch flounder, this will catch snook. Great lures right here. And you can just put this underneath your popping cork and catch trout all day. But there's no scent here, or at least not a lot. So it makes it a little bit less appealing. Let me show you another great lure. The old gold spoon. This is a great lure for catching trout. Now with both of these, you're going to have to add a barrel swivel to the actual spoon because they'll spin up your line. So after 15, 20 casts, all of a sudden you're going to keep getting knots in your line when you cast it out. That's because these spoons have spun up your line. They wrapped it all up and twisted it all up. So you have to add a barrel swivel if you're going to fish with spoons for these trout. All right? So when you're looking at all of these different, let me show you some more types of popping corks too. Here's another kind of popping cork you can use. There's all kinds of popping corks, and basically sometimes the fish are more skittish than other times. So some of them have less noise and some of them have more noise. Is really all that is. There's difference, but this is my go-to right here, coupled with the gulp swimming mullet or gulp shrimp. Right here. So use that anywhere you are where you're going to have these speckled trout. So you're fishing a dock. A dock is a great spot to just kind of bounce this on the bottom. So say the bottom is here, and I would just take these and just bounce them off the bottom, because usually around docks is muddy and silty and sandy. You know, so do something like that, or just go in there and use your cowls, use your DOA cowls, and just swim them right through there. Oyster bars, you'd probably bounce it on the bottom, you swim it with the current, you could use this, there's a lot of different ways. Your spoon, remember you're casting up current, you're working it back, because they're going to be in the whole part of the water column, you know, depending. You know, sometimes you'll get all your hits on top water, other times you're going to get all your hits towards the bottom. And it basically just depends upon, is there food there, and what is the water temperature? Is the water temperature right wherever they are? Around mangroves too. There's tons of them, as long as those mangroves are adjacent to grass flats. That's another thing too. You got to have some grass flats somewhere in the area. Speckled trout and grass flats are like peanut butter and jelly. You know, they just go together. And down here in Florida, our grass flats have been getting killed. You know, all this runoff and just whatever reason, they're dying. So there's a lot less grass flats around, which means there's a lot less trout. You know, there was honey holes that I had just 5 years ago where you might catch 30 trout, and now catching 5 is a good day. So there's a lot less trout out there in certain, at least my area on the Treasure Coast, because our grass flats are dying. But they're in the mud flats, they're around all the tidal creeks, and like I just said, the grass flats. But those are all the lures you need. You probably only need the gulps. You probably only need the gulps. But it is fun to get them on top water, you know, watch them slam into it, some of those big ones. But if you could only bring one lure, I'd bring the gulps. If you couldn't find any gulps, I'd bring the DOA cow. So you don't really need all these other ones. I mean, I would bring a popping cork or two, but you don't need them. You don't need them. The gulps and the cows will catch you all of the trout you ever wanted to catch. But I really wanted to just do a video on this, on just the basic lures to catch speckled trout. You know, because they'll eat a lot of different things. They're very voracious feeders. When they're feeding, they'll hit almost anything you throw at them. And you can find more of this information right on our website. Just go to www.fishyourassoff.com. The whole website is how-to videos and articles to catch inshore fish. So go there, check it out. But I think that's it for today. So until next time, we'll see you then. All right, bye-bye.